Launch the Minuteman.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Entertainment Headquarters and the Retro Classic Movie Show. And of course I am joined by my amazing co-host Mr. DJ Anubis. And of course we are also joined by two amazing guests. Mr. Daniel Miller, aka the Professor.
Good afternoon.
And of course Mr. JGV Jedi Granville of Jedi Granville Productions.
I'm back in here, buddy.
Yes. And the reason that me and my good friend DJ Nubis, my co-host, are joined by these amazing people is because we have to talk about, on this show, one of Steven Spielberg's best films. And of course, it is none other than Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So before we get into the details, let's say who's in the chat. We'll have Mr. Jacob.
There he is.
Hello, Jay.
Not red face at all.
Yes, we'll have Gojira.
Gojira, what's up, man?
Hello, Gojira.
We'll have Queen Glamazona.
Arizona.
What's up,
Thank you.
We have Kaiju Ricky.
Mr. Kaiju Ricky? All right.
Yes.
Hello,
And
Kaiju
we
Ricky.
have the
Roman.
Four Horsemen.
Probably, yeah.
Roman C6W. Thanks for joining us.
It's hard. That's what they say.
Yes. And thank you very much. We are the Fab Four. We're not the Fantastic Four, but we're the Fab Four.
And we're not the Beatles either, so that's the thing.
Yes. Absolutely. And of course, she said, of course, about Gizmo. Gizmo's so cute.
Oh, in the second one, he's definitely cuter, I feel.
Yes. But as I said before, we are here to talk about none other than the Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So we're going to start things off like we all do and talk about the first time we see this particular film. So I'll start with my amazing co-host, Mr. DJ Anubis.
Yeah, so this is one of the films I saw as a kid. The drive-in was a big thing back then, and I don't remember if it was my mother or my babysitter at the time, but certainly going to the drive-in was a big deal. And I remember seeing this film then, which I always really loved. Even now, when I looked at it yesterday, it's like it has this crossover between, it has a bit of an eeriness in it, has a little bit of funny comedy in it, and then also kind of like an emotional tie in there as well. So I know we're going to talk all about that, but the thing about Spielberg, he has just a way of just directing a movie where it just brings you all different types of highs and lows of emotion and feel and aesthetic to what he delivers on his cinematography. So,
yes. The Professor, your first time seeing this amazing film.
The first time I saw this incredible work of Steven Spielberg was just when I was in university, of all things. It was during lockdown, and we just happened to get our copy just before it happened. And the first time actually seeing it, it was a huge roller coaster of suspense, awe, some tongue-in-cheek moments, but really just a lot of majesty and just really encapsulates Spielberg's skill as a visual auteur, that's a storyteller and director. Actually seeing this movie again in the dark actually makes these suspenseful scenes a lot more scarier, which I'll get into later on in the video. But Close Encounters of the Third Kind, this is an absolute classic, one of Spielberg's best, along with Jaws, Sugarland Express, and E.T., and countless others that he would make throughout his time as a filmmaker.
Jewel?
Yeah, Jewel as well.
Yeah. JJV, your first time.
Well, for me, unfortunately, I didn't get to see it when it first arrived in '77. I will say that. But I did see it before the '70s got done when it was broadcast on ABC. And let me just say that it's a tribute to knowing that it made me realize that there's a lot of things that unlocked in me that I didn't realize was there in terms of imagination. And I feel like this is Spielberg unlocking something in the core essence of himself out of the thing and releasing just like abundance of some, because this movie has so much, like I say, energy in terms of storytelling, images that you just would never imagine. Then if you watch the film, I mean, it's like so many things are so iconic in this film. I mean, you cannot watch this film without feeling something like, oh, I recognize that moment. I was like, that's that moment from that. It's like, it's so beautifully made. And I would eventually see this movie on the big screen until 2017 when they did the 40th anniversary of it, and got to see it on the big screen, and it was like a different experience, even though I'm seeing it in my 40-year-old eyes, it still has that momentum of me seeing it as a kid when I first saw it back then. So it
Mhm.
has that incredible effect on me.
Yes. So Queen Glamazon, I remember seeing it at the midnight screen at my local cinema. So that would have been a fun watch for the first time.
I can imagine.
Yes, as for me, obviously this came out way back in, is it 1977?
77.
So, yeah, I wasn't born in 1983. Yes, I'm old now. But then, I must have seen this like in probably 9 or 10-year-old, where my first remembrance of the movie, and it was on television. And you know what stood out for me? For me, it was like as a kid, you don't realize what's going on. It was a bit of a slow burn of a movie for me as a kid.
Sure.
But then this happened, and as soon as I seen this happen in the movie, I was like hooked.
Oh, yeah, that scene.
Yeah, when that happened in the movie as a little kid, when you're like 8, 10-year-old, you're like, spaceships, aliens, I'm all in.
Mm-hmm.
But then as you get older and you watch it from an adult perspective, you look at it in a lot deeper than what it is. And this, I've not long viewed this movie again for the first time in a long time. And I've always loved this movie, but I've got an even bigger respect for the film.
Right.
And I generally feel it's probably going to go down as one of my favourite movies. But let's crack on. Let's get cracking. So, Close Encounters of the Third Kind is a 1977 American science fiction drama film written and directed by Steven Spielberg. Starring Richard Dreyfuss, Melinda Dillon, Teri Garr, Bob Balaban, Cary Guffey, and I can't even pronounce that name. But Francis
François
Truffaut.
Thank you. The film depicts the interconnected stories of Roy Neary and an everyday blue-collar worker in Indiana whose life changes after an encounter with an unidentified flying object. Gillian Gullard, who was played by Dillon, a single mother whose 3-year-old son Barry is abducted during the same UFO manifestation. And Claude Lacombe, a French scientist pursuing a link between recent unexplained scientific phenomena across the globe.
Yes.
So it's not complicated at all, this movie.
No. This is actually no. I don't know if I don't know for the obvious person, the average person, maybe, but since we're not average, this is not difficult at all. It's a simple manifestation of a man who gets infected by something that drives him to almost to the point of madness to find out what's the answer to what he's been infected with. It's simple.
The Kraken is another movie, and I'm sure Anubis has a review of that film on his channel.
No review yet, but I have seen it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But the Professor Daniel Miller, you are our go-to storyteller on this channel.
Yes.
So, would you like to start us off with this amazing story and plot?
I'll be very happy to. Our story begins in the desert near Mexico. A transport arrives in the desert during a sandstorm, and the authorities try to explain to the investigators what's happened. Then an interpreter arrives and greets the leader of the expedition, a Frenchman played by filmmaker and documentarian François Truffaut. He explains that there was a unexplained... No, hold on. Let me just get my words straight. He interprets that there was an unexplained phenomenon that happened in a junkyard. They go into the junkyard and they find a formation of 1940s US aircraft, all in
And I
really
will
good
say this real
condition.
quick. I just want to cut in real quick, Dan.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories about the Bermuda Triangle is Flight 19. The
Yes.
5 planes, and it's like one of them. It's creepy. It's just still a mystery to this day. And even the planes they found in the ocean don't match up with the numbers. So the fact that they used this in this film the way they did was so awesome. I love that idea. So didn't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to spit that out.
But before
right.
you continue, let me add a little bit more to Nubis. This was at a time when not just the Bermuda Triangle, but many people were seeing multiple UFO sightings at this time. It was like rampant. It was like something of a phenomenon going on, and it's kind of ironic that this film came out previously after Star Wars came out. So knowing that we hear that, and this is kind of more of a stick to home kind of film, knowing that, do you know if there's alien life visiting us? I mean, and it was like this was a tremendous kind of thing going on, and we've had all these things going on at this time. The Vietnam War ending, oil prices going on, it's different kind of war starting. It's refreshing to know that this was something that was added on to it, and it just re-energized a lot of people's imaginations, as I said before. But that continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Both you and Anubis made excellent points there. Really good points, and especially like this bit of dialogue when they're inspecting the aircraft. The interpreter asks what happened to the pilots who flies crates like these. They said they disappeared in 1945, and that means like, holy shit. So immediately this conveys what sort of story that we're going in for, but it also gives a lot of hints. At first you think, okay, it's maybe time travel, but there's also Close Encounters in the title, so it implies aliens as well. So that's an interesting paradox in not just the title, but in the introductory scene. Now, this scene concludes when the interpreter meets a witness who says that the sun came out to him the night before and sang to him. Then we cut over to the United States, where we see Barry and his mom. The toys in Barry's bedroom come to life by themselves. They're driving around on the floor. A children's record player starts playing up again.
But don't forget, before that happens, you have the strange phenomena happening over in the air.
Yes, that's right.
You have like the air, you have the
air traffic controller,
the air traffic controller. They're following what these unidentified, what they think's flights or planes. So they send a group of planes up to investigate. All they see is like lights.
That's correct.
And no one can explain what the hell they are. And they say, do you want to report this as a UFO or not? And all of the pilots say no. Because I think it's out of fear that they don't want to be seen as crazy or whack jobs.
Yeah, they would have probably been terminated for claiming UFOs. So.
Yeah.
So
they decided not to.
To a lot of people who made those claims within the Air Force and even within aviation, their licenses were immediately revoked when they made those reports.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. I don't know why that scene just slipped my mind. But yeah.
But can I add one thing before you go on further? That moment when we see this is something I love brilliantly about Spielberg. He does subtle things. When the interpreter is interpreting what the Frenchman is saying, he's looking around, and all of a sudden he just suddenly just looks straight up. It's like it's hinting at the audience. It's like there's something more than just what's around you. There's something above that's going on here. So just wanted to add that.
Right. So as the toys in Barry's house are coming alive and then shutting off. We then jump over to the main suburbs, which is where Richard Dreyfuss's character and his family live. And this introduction, this is a really funny and also, in my opinion, very wholesome introduction to his character. His son has a maths equation to solve. It's a fractions equation.
Yes.
And he asks his father to help him solve it. It's like, I graduated college, so I don't have to do your problems.
Yes.
You have to do your problems. So, but I'll help you anyway. So let's say that, and he's playing with a train's model that he's been making at the same time. Let's say that this train car is 60 feet long. A fraction is on the train car, and there's another car coming along the same track. Now, what fraction do we have to move this car to get it out of the way of the incoming train? You gotta think, son, there are lives at stake here. And of course, he can't answer the question.
He can't answer the
Train
question.
crashes and derails.
Yes.
And I had to point this out. This is something I don't think many people know about this film. Real quick, let's get this out the way. There are literally 3 versions of this film.
Yes, it is, Queen.
Yes. Oh, math. Yeah, math is hard.
Many existences.
But there is 3 versions of this film, and when we get to a certain point in the story, I'll point out what particular sticks out the most in terms of what's the original theatrical cut, what's the special edition, and what's the director's cut. But like I said, we'll get there.
I think the other funny thing is about the train scene is that as a kid, you're not really thinking about whether or not it's real life. You're like, yeah, but Dad, I want to just crash it. I want to crash. I want to hit something.
That's what I was going to say.
And it does.
It does.
You
Yes,
get
it does.
Yes. And then this is where Roy obviously takes his family out for a meal.
Good old
Oh,
Roy.
You know, he's made this promise that he's going to take his family out, but then that's when there's like this unexpected power shortage. And then he's then got to go out and investigate. And all of a sudden, he's parked his car and he's like looking at the map, and the car goes past.
Yeah, say you're blocking the road, jackass. You know what I'm saying?
He goes, it's not a problem. Turkey.
Yes. But here comes this moment that I think is another. This is why I say so iconic. He stops at the train tracks. Some lights come up behind him, and I'm telling you right now, when I first saw this, I'm thinking like, okay, I mean, he's waiting to go around. I'm thinking like, what's about to happen? It's like it lifts up light wide. I'm like, oh my God! And then it just, he starts hearing things like the mailbox is, doing something, and then all of a sudden the lights, then the car goes out, and then the lights, the flashlight he holds goes off, and then all of a sudden everything goes haywire. It's like you see this light hit him, and it's like, what's going on, And then it's the train signal goes, ringing and everything, and we see inside. This is an old, Hollywood trick where a person is set in a carousel, turning them around to get the illusion of gravity, being off center and everything. And like I say, I know when I saw this, it was just like, what the fuck is this? It's like, and the crazy thing is when it stops, he's just kind of like, looking up, and it's like he sees some part of a craft going over. It's like, and then the shot that really impressed me the most, not this part, the part that really impressed me the most was you see a shot of the street from the tracks, and it's the light. I mean, the ship just shines a light on the ground. I'm just kind of like, I was like, dude, what is going on here? And then go ahead,
Yeah, just to jump onto that, Walter, very quickly. Pay attention to the sound design in that scene.
Yes.
First, the natural ambient stops, then the crickets stop, and it's just complete silence.
I never really noticed that until you said that. That's true. Yes. Yes. These subtle things
the
like
smallest details in such a kind of move that leave the biggest impact.
Yes.
It's like another Steven Spielberg film before you see the T-Rex, but you see the footprint, or you just see the little
Yes.
puddle, and you
Water
see the
vibrating.
rings.
Yeah.
Thinking, oh, you don't know what's going to happen, but you know shit's about to go down.
And see, once his power starts to come back on in the truck, he jumps first when the flashlight, like, oh, like, and then the truck starts starting up, and he's going. But here's a shot that's not in the theatrical moment, if you see it, where the shadow of the ship passes over while he's passing, driving along. That's not in the theatrical cut. That's in the special edition and the director's cut. But he's driving to where all these obstacles and things are going on. And then we come up to where Barry and his mom come to that little like turn around, and there's that man who's just whistling, just like whistling and everything. And these and I gotta say, the kids that's in the back of the truck, they're just like, well, they're normal looking kids, at least this is the 70s, so it's like it's no big deal. So the mom finally catches up with no, she didn't catch up with him. She gets over the hill, and he's standing in the middle of the street. Barry's standing in the middle of the street, and here comes Roy. He comes right around, he's like almost gets hit, but it's like he doesn't hit him, thank God. And he's saying like, I'm sorry, and everything. And then Barry starts running away again, it's
That's Roy.
Yeah, that's
for
Roy.
them who don't know.
Richard Dreyfuss.
Yes, and
Yes.
this is an even mind for the young kid who's in this. He's really brilliant.
He is.
Oh yeah.
He's an
Bye.
amazing child actor.
Bye.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. I mean, looking at it now, I almost cried when he does
Go
that.
through the boy.
But the moment where he's like, say, come here. He's a child. He's basically a baby. It's like, and the mom's like, boy, what is wrong with you? Do you know when the mom is reacting like that to Barry? I kid you not. It's kind of a soul thing for me, because my mom, bless her heart, she'd be like, boy, if you don't get your ass back up in here, it's like she's and you see that one moment where she's trying to pull him back, and he's like, no, come here. And Roy, he's out the truck, he's kind of looking at the people on the side there. He's like, what are they waiting? What are they looking for? He's like, and then he's looking at the woman, like the mom of the boy. He's like, what's going on? And then that moment where the ships just come around the corner, and he's like, it's like, what's going on?
It's funny that they both have this encounter with the alien ship. And then after the encounter with the alien ship, what happens next is he now changes his personality, becomes obsessed, because for some reason the ships have left this image in his brain, and it becomes an obsession, and it comes between him and his family and all of this. Then at the same time, Gillian, the next scene is also both intense and frightening. Where she's in the house with her young son, and you just feel something's going to happen. You see that cloud heading towards the house, and you see the light, so you know shit's going to go down. And then
that's another example of something that really sparked my, something in my brain too. That I've always been a obsession of structures of cloud formations for some reason. It wasn't that when I was younger, but when I saw this film, it's just like something opened up on me that I didn't realize was there. And and that's something that Spielberg himself said he wanted to show the aliens coming in that formation. The clouds was their representation of them arriving. And when you see, and as Daniel mentioned before, if you watch this in the dark, it's a little bit more frightening. And if you're a parent,
sure. Yeah, and if you watch this and you want to try it for yourself, make sure it's pitch black in the room. The only source of light is the TV screen. Make sure it's that sort of black. And that scene where he gets abducted, that will actually terrify you watching it in that setting.
But just remember too, before I just add on something, just realize how, and she's a single parent, imagine a mother, maybe even a father, it could be a father too. Imagine this being such a traumatic thing where you're like thinking about your baby's safety. Well, it's the kid, you know, he's a baby. He's just like, because at one moment where he opens up the door, you know, and you see the lights in there, it's like, that's another iconic shot, you know. He just opens up the door. He's like such random, like, you're like, come on in here, you know, come on, you know. And he's saying certain things in the house are going like the vacuum clean, say, clean everything up, you know. It's
like
well, he'd already seen them in person when they were in the kitchen. And so I thought that was kind of neat because Spielberg did such a good job with this kid, because the kid comes in and he's like, you know, he's curious, he's shocked, but there's this moment where he's looking in there, you know, we don't get to see the creatures at that point, but we see the chaos they leave on the kitchen floor. But then you see the kid smile. So the kid is like looking at him like playmates. It's almost like a kid that, you know, we talk about how kids are innocent and they're very open when it comes to like maybe supernatural things, ghost or whatever. So this is one of these moments where the kid is just thinking, I don't even care what it looks like. It's not really scary. It just seems to be playing around in my kitchen. So it's kind of neat. You know, he's just looking at it that way. So the kid just did a phenomenal job in this film.
And you want to know,
he's absolutely brilliant. I was so fascinated with his performance because yes, he's acting, but he's acting it so naturally, his performance.
And you want to know what's funny, because I want to add on to a news with that, because this is what's so brilliant about this. Spielberg, being the genius that he is, since the kid was, like I say, the actor who was playing the part, he had certain things off screen that you don't see, like a guy in a gorilla suit, you know, just standing there randomly, you know. But on the other side, he has somebody holding a box of toys for the actor to see, and you get those so brilliant expressions of his from like, is this scary or is this fun, you know? And if you see the behind the scenes, it's so funny because, you know, this is something that Spielberg is very good at, giving, especially children, because he's not known for working with children that much back then, but now he does, you know. But back then he knew how to harness these kids in very well, and I think it's so brilliant that how he did that, you know, because it's really.
I feel like this was like he's like test. See if you could work with kids, because obviously E.T. came not long after this, and the fact that he knew he could have like some sort of relationship with kids and like at least get them to perform in a way that they needed to tell the story he was trying to tell works, you know, amazingly in this film.
And he does a great job, and that's why I say, as the was mentioned, like his spot on expressions was so like, it's like he started for a second, but then he's like, you know, and that shows how a child's mind, you know, it can revert from, you know, terrified, but if it's not terrifying, it's like it could be the most terrifying thing to an adult, but to a kid, it's like, that's, you know, he doesn't think of it that way. He didn't think of it as threatening. He just thinks of it as like another child or a playmate or something like that. That's what he looks at it. That's what a child does.
Absolutely. But as the plot progresses, with this, he's in the kitchen, and then you see the clouds arrive, and you know you just feel like there's heaviness, that something's gonna happen, and the alien ship's outside, and there's like the shining light.
Yes.
The door opens, and why the fuck am I all of a sudden there on the main screen?
Oh, I don't know.
But anyway,
you want the spotlight?
Right, it's your show.
He's an arrogant cunt. Isn't that the English thing to say is cunt?
Yeah. Yes. It sure is. Someone's got to be the star. Yeah.
There you go.
Know, someone needs to be the star. You know.
He is also the host of the show, so it's his show.
Is it?
Oh, I'm very spicy. But
okay.
Going back to the film, what ends up happening is there's there's the flash of light outside of the house, the door opens, and finally after a while, Barry the child is finally taken. In the sheer devastation and heartbreak on Jessica's face is just amazing acting.
She's reacting like any normal mother would, you know. She's running. I mean, she knows she can't catch him, but she's running like Barry. You know, she is real. Like I say, that's why I say again. This reminds me so much of my mother, because I know my mom would have been the same way. She'd be like, Walter, you know why? It's like she would be like so devastated. You know, that's the thing you want to get from your actors doing it. And I should say, the actress doing this part, she was nominated for supporting actress in this film. So just give that a little.
Well, I think she should have been.
Film was fantastic, top to bottom. I mean, there, you know, Kevin mentioned about Roy. Once he has that experience with the alien, like all the people that were involved in seeing this have something imprinted. They see images of something they can't quite grasp. And the thing that I love about Dreyfuss is that throughout this entire movie, man, he is like going up through these emotions like a man. Like it's that dinner table scene with his kids and his wife. Oh my God, dude, that broke me. Like I forgot all about that.
Oh,
just watching him break down, because he's trying to grasp and figure out what's going on in his head, but he loves his family, but they don't even know what he's dealing with. Like they have no idea.
I find the scene that happens after the dinner scene, like when he breaks down and he's in the bathroom and the kid starts slamming the door, that for me is probably the hardest thing to watch.
Yes.
In cinema, because as someone who holds family in very high list of things important in life, it's very difficult to see a family structure just crumble apart in such a way, and there's no rational explanation as to why. It's just falling to pieces right there and then.
Because she even says, the wife even says, like, you know, you don't work, our friends don't call us, you know, you're breaking this family apart. It's like
he just wanted a hug from her. She wouldn't do it, and I'm just like, oh my God, this dude's gonna like have a meltdown. Like he's not gonna make it, you know.
But then
what a waste of mashed potatoes.
Right.
Well, there was a dead fly in there, so
yes, it's like saying, I hate these potatoes. There's a dead fly in my potatoes. It's like, yeah.
But like you've got the scenes where he's getting more and more into it, and he's acting more erratic, and they just don't understand what the hell's going on. And he starts doing paintings, he starts getting clay, and then he builds that big mountain in the living room, and it's like, what the. And then Jessica gets taken away and questioned, and there's no answer. And then on the other side, the government are investigating the flying saucers, and like these guys are like, oh, that's Steven Spielberg, but you know, these are him and the cast together heading to the mountain scene.
Yeah, but very quickly, he does fit the part of a UFO investigator, Spielberg, in that picture.
Yes.
He does look the part of an investigator.
Before we go any further, I have to ask this question real quick. With Spielberg, even with George Lucas, could you say that maybe he might be from another world? You know? Who's to say?
Don't you
like
do that.
Doctor Who.
Don't do
like
that.
Albert Einstein.
I mean, look, can you say that I'm not from another universe? I'm not from another galaxy? You know? You have to ask yourself these things, you know, because you see and think these extraordinary things in your brain, but then it's like, why would I be so extraordinary to think these things? And Spielberg is one of those very imaginative creators, you know, who's able to tell great stories, but it's like, how come I can tell these things in such great detail like Neri does, you know? And that's, you know,
I don't know if I want to know that, because then you would take a guy like Wes Craven at Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't want to know that.
You don't want to know that.
I don't want any secrets like that at all.
look at Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
Oh God, Christopher Nolan's totally he's
like some of his stories where when he's personally written some of his own movies, where the hell does that imagination come from? Like Tenet.
Yeah, oh my God, Tenet or Inception.
It's like You know,
You have
did
to
he come
wonder.
from another reality? Is this the multiverse? Who knows?
Look, George Lucas, as I said before,
Well, didn't you guys say, and I don't want to sidetrack us, but didn't you guys say that his latest film had some sort of connection to some of the older stuff?
It's got more like nostalgia vibes.
Yeah.
It's like I generally there was all this rumors when it comes to Disclosure Day going into this.
Yes.
A lot of the rumors were that this was a secret sequel to Close Encounters, and I think because that was one of the potential rumors of what this was going to be, Disclosure Day, I think once you get through the plot and you get to the end of Disclosure, I think a lot of people are disappointed that it wasn't that.
Okay.
It's its own thing, but you can clearly see the influence from
No, definitely.
the Close Encounters and his earlier work.
Yeah. Just one little thing to add before we move on. When we're talking about Christopher Nolan and Spielberg, and they come up with these ideas, and it's all talking about what if they're from different dimensions and realities and universes. What if they're not from any reality or universe, and the ideas that they make, we are literally in the realm of the ideas, and what we see as movies they present in another medium in a different universe. So we see them as moving images here, but on the other side there's something else entirely.
Well, if you've ever seen In the Mouth of Madness, John Carpenter film, I can go with that, but hey.
I still get confused with that movie.
Yes. I think I've only seen it once.
Yeah, I've seen
I
it
think you only need to see it once to realize, like, okay, I need to stay off these shrooms.
Yeah. Or have shrooms and might make sense of it.
Going back to what Queen Glamazona said, I definitely believe that could be true, even though it's not particularly said out loud, because Close Encounters is the first interim of aliens, basically. Disclosure Day is about if the whole world discovered the truth that there is alien life.
Right.
So who's to say it's not set in the same world?
Right.
But as the plot progresses, Jill's being questioned, Roy's now erratic, and I love that scene, like you see, the potato scene. But at the same time, you then get the government are now putting two and two together with the alien UFOs, the sightings, the abductions, that there's some sort of connection between music and mathematical equations.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where they then suddenly decide we're going to set up this facility. Is it Death Mountain or
Devil's Tower?
Devil's Tower. They set up at Devil's Tower, and as events transpire, Roy, he sees it on the television.
Yes.
Because he sees it on the television because the government are now clearing the area and are now making the area, evacuating the area because they're now going to use this mountain. And obviously they've released this new state which is false to what they're really doing at the moment. But he sees it on the television and he turns around and looks at all these pictures and he's like, this is where I need to go.
Is it real? And we see Jillian seeing that same particular image and it's like, I'm not crazy. I'm like, this is real, Yes.
There it is.
And this is Devil's Tower, which is, where's this based in?
Wyoming.
Wyoming, yeah.
Wyoming.
Isn't Paul, the Simon Pegg and Nick Frost movie, also feature this in the climax of that movie?
Yes. And you see in that moment where, they say it's like, of course, there's like, why not meet here? Makes sense. And just I'm thinking, this, Professor Spielberg actually makes a cameo in that film.
Yes, he does.
Yes.
When he's talking to Paul on the speakerphone, when he's locked away in the confines of Area 51, and he's talking about an extraterrestrial that can heal by touch, which is reused in another Spielberg movie, ironically enough. Yeah, I just love that those little nods between movies, whether they're parodies, serious, or just
Or
different
homages or
genres.
something like
But I
that.
really do love how one movie
But-
tips its hat to another one.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and it's nice when some directors give nods to other directors. Like,
Yeah.
a little, like, for example, we've talked about this a number of times. You know how much -1, the boat scene with Godzilla chasing the boat with its by Jaws. So that was a nod of his respect to Steven Spielberg, for example. And it, you know, you need little Easter eggs out. Like, I've seen films where there's movie posters or there's like a scene that matching another scene but in a different way. That's clearly, you know, representing a remake of like a scene from another movie.
Yeah.
But it's done in such a way you appreciate it because it's shown respect.
Mm.
But that's what influenced that person in order to do that. You know, it's like, and that
Yes.
that paid my homage to it.
But
That's
going forward, Roy obviously decides I need to go to the mountain. Gillian needs to go to the mountain. And they basically break into the facility and are basically held up. And did anyone recognize a certain person?
Yeah, okay. And if this
Yeah.
is what you're talking about, because this is only in the Apollo. Yes, this is
Yeah.
only in the theatrical cut. Unfortunately, I don't know why it's not in the director's cut, but yes, Mr. Carl Weathers as a military guy. Yes.
Yes, and
I'm glad you brought that up.
I don't know why they never reintroduced his scenes into.
I don't either, because his scene is very well made. It's very well done. He talks very fluently, you know, and I don't know why it's not in the director's cut, because it would, you know, help the character. But I don't know.
We need a new cut that includes those scenes.
Maybe, I don't know. Did
we
they
need
not
them.
want to pay him or what? I don't know what that's about if it was so small, but
Well, we know how cinemas and studios go. Well, actually, it's a 15-minute scene, but we'll cut it from the movie, and I think we know what I'm talking about. But we'll not go back to that film.
If I could look, if I want to point out something, I'm going to point it out now. The 10-second or maybe 15-second moment of Mr. Akira Takarada from the first 2014 Godzilla, totally caught out. He gets a credit. It's not in the damn final cut. What the fuck was that all about?
And to this day, they still haven't just re-added this 15-second scene. 15 seconds.
I don't.
They have reintroduced it, I think, in a recent re-release of the film.
Well, if they have, I'll buy that motherfucker.
Yeah.
But just out of respect for the man.
Yeah, and one more Godzilla connection between Close Encounters. Just before Dreyfuss's character discovers by accident that when he takes the top off the mountain, it looks like the Devil's Tower. There's a discussion between the authorities over how they're going to get the area clear, and someone mentions anthrax, and then we have this general character who's like, an anthrax is a good cause, but there'll be that one nutcase who thinks they're immune. We need to think of something else. Now, that character, I don't know about you, but that particular character just reminds me of the US general from the Raymond Burr version of Godzilla 1985. I can't put my finger on what it is exactly about that particular character, but I do sense an uncanny resemblance going on there. I don't know if that's just me or if anyone else sees it.
You mean, could it be the same actor that's playing that part? Maybe
That's what I thought initially when I watched it earlier on tonight. I'm thinking, from certain angles, it looks very much like the same actor. But then again, just listen to his voice. The voice also sounds similar to that character.
I wouldn't be surprised if it is. I mean, because I hadn't thought about that. That's a very good point. Huh. Okay.
No, it's just going to bug me forever.
Where we're heading now is the climax of the movie.
Yeah.
Yes,
And the climax is always good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've had a few of them. Anyway, but,
I didn't necessarily mean it like that, but I mean, you know.
Anyway, would you like to talk about the climax, Mister?
Oh God! You know what?
You know,
why not?
You
because
love this movie.
Yes, because I do love this movie. I think this is Spielberg's best. Yes, they have a like what you call landing strip at the bottom of the base of Devil's Tower. Jillian and Roy, you know, pretty much get up there, and they're inviting because see, we got to remember, music is the element that these particular creatures communicate with, and the 5-note motif is what's so iconic in this movie too. I mean, it's a lot of iconic moments and everything. But anyway, they use that to contact the aliens, and this is the place where they send these coordinates for them to land at. So they bring in 3 ships. I mean, we see first stars. That's another thing you may not know. Is it's very subtle, but it's very out there. The stars are kind of alive, but it's actually the ships. You know, it's just very distant.
And you see them also when they start coming together, that they actually form like the Little Dipper.
Yes, that's the great thing about that too, which I like. You know, but they signal. You know, they come in through like the clouds first. Well, I think now first 3 of them come in. You know, and generally, you know, say they're trying to, you know, communicate. And what's funny is the Frenchman is like saying, you know, we're playing these notes, give us some kind of reaction, and all of a sudden, you know, they probably had it set up way before the fact. You know, I feel that's what they do, and they're very good at
the
that.
Government, that's why.
Yeah, and that's exactly. Because remember, there's a truck that's named got Piggly Wiggly on there, which only me and Nanubis really know about too well because we're 70s kids. Anyway, and that's all the equipment that they're sending over there to set up and whatever. Anyway. These 3 ships that were there with the 3 notes, it's like you say, I like that, come on, you know, and they just like dung, dung, dung. The 3 ships do this, you know, and they're just kind of rolling, and then they fly away, and they think like, oh wow, that was it, you know, that was a contact. It's like, dude, y'all ain't even scratched the surface yet. Y'all think that was the only contact y'all gonna get. Here comes the mother load right now, not the full mother load, but part of the mother load. The clouds start coming in here, rolling in, just ominous but mysterious, but very like
a little bit too. Just real quick, Walter. Neko pointed out just like this. Some of these scenes, like the clouds and some of the shadows we saw, that actually was inspiring Independence Day as well.
Yes,
I agree.
I
actually think the clouds, you know, when the clouds were heading towards the house before Barry got abducted, and you see like the little lights heading towards, but you see like the formation of the initial cloud before you see the light. That for me reminded me of Independence Day.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, you can always say that this film definitely influenced a lot of filmmakers, storytellers, future-wise for sure. Well, we see one of the ships at the base of the foot of Devil's Tower signaling, you know, other ships in the clouds, you know, and someone down there, one of the guys down there say, what they're saying, what they're talking about. It's like they're talking over my head, you know, because as you see, light, sound is something that's basically their so-called communication. So here it comes, all these ships coming out of nowhere, you know, just like boom. And we got to give it up for one particular person who does a great job in this movie, John Williams. His music really captures this moment where we see all these ships coming in, smaller ships coming in, you know, just rendezvousing with one another. And then we see this one ship that flies overhead going towards the Devil's Tower. Believe it or not, that's actually a oxygen mask. They just put lights on and everything flying over, because these ships are just basic shapes of everyday things that we see in our everyday lives, you know. And I guess the aliens just see, well, if that's will kind of reinfer that these people will recognize, that'll make them comfortable, So when you see them, these are the things, and all this craziness is going on. And at this point, Roy says, "You want to get closer down here?" It's like, "I'm good where I'm at." And you say, "Well, I can't stay here, and she tells him like, "But Barry's not here. Yeah. Barry's not here." And it's like you realize, like, say, if Barry's here, she would enjoy it more. But it's like, I want my son back, That's the whole purpose of why she's here to begin with, So, but anyway, his whole destiny is to go down there and discover these things and see what's going on. Now, here comes the mother lode, or literally the mother ship. And I love this moment because, yes, this is such a classic moment in the film. It doesn't rise down. It doesn't come down from the heavens like you usually see ships do. It lifts up from behind the mountain itself. And you literally can see that this ship is way bigger than the mountain itself. It's just rising up slowly, ominously, but it looks so majestic, so beautiful, and it's, I don't know how much.
But imagine being a 8 and 10-year-old kid and seeing this movie the first time, and you get to the end, and this is the final thing. You see this huge, ship rising from behind a mountain, so colourful, bright. It doesn't look like, when you think of alien spacecraft, they're either completely grey and metal shaped or full of just, metal and metallic. But this, for me, was something totally different. It is beautiful. It just the whole look of the ship. Its design, it's not intimidating. It's so unique and intriguing that it makes you interested to know what the hell it is.
And the weird thing is, the design.
And I agree with Queen Glamazona, where she says it looks like a Christmas ornament.
Yes,
but that's what makes it so attractive.
Because the thing about this, the design of it was something that was inspired by Spielberg anyway. When he the scene where we see him, the scene take place in India, while he was scouting, they passed by a refinery that was lit up like this, like the ship, and it got his head spinning. It's like, I want a ship that looks kind of like that, reminds me of a refinery, like that. And the guy who's the model builder, Greg Jean, who's long since passed away, made a maquette, built the ship, and here's just a little insight here on a book that shows the filming of this ship, the model of it, because it's a big mother, literally, and it's from this book here, just in case y'all didn't know. Anyway, when you see it, you realize like that show this, that the aliens pretty much saying, let's make sure that these people are not intimidated by us. Let's not show no threat, because these are very benign creatures, they're here to just communicate, they're here to be friends with us. So they land, they turn the ship up. Well, I can't even say it was upside down. I think it was upside down before when it was lifting up. Now it's right side up, and it comes down at the base of the Devil's Tower. So then one of the guys says, like, if everything's okay on the dark of the moon, play the 5 notes. And then they played, and then this is where you hear the sound of the actual notes that sounds so iconic. Because before it just sounded kind of like, it's kind of like sound watered down sound effect. Then when you hear the actual note, the notes itself, it's like, that's the notes I want to hear. That's what I want to be one. And the funny thing is, I should mention before, I mentioned John Williams before. John Williams got with Spielberg ahead of time because he needed these music sounds for this moment, to present for this particular moment, because this is the crescendo of the film to begin with, because music is pretty much their dialogue in a sense. So,
well, I've always said Steven Spielberg is the brains of the movie. John Williams is the heart.
Yes.
It's very true. So when you see, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because obviously the music, anyone can make a movie, but
Mhm.
I think the heart and soul of of any movie is the music.
Yes. And you definitely need that, because otherwise it kind of dictates, or not so much dictates, it gives the impression of what you're really seeing. Because I know when I first saw Back to the Future, I'm expecting a, so-called, pop music, whatever kind of feel to it. But when you hear that orchestral music from Alan Silvestri, it's like, okay, that changes the tone a great deal. It's all about what, as you say, the heart of the movie is the music. What does it give to the table in terms of what you're watching? So John Williams here really does a great job. And when they start playing the notes, they play those notes on the that whatever that is, and then the ship starts playing kind of a tuba sound effect of the kind of the notes, But
So here's a that's an image of like one of the designs, and this is an actual. I would love to buy one of these.
yes, yes,
Oh,
see,
wow.
yes, I think I've
Now,
seen.
the thing I love about this, even though it's like, look at the size of the mountain compared to the mothership.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This like shows you the actual size of what that ship would have been
As
in the
a
film.
professor would say, gradually, very honestly, she's a big bitch.
That's a huge bit.
She's a huge bitch. But no, the moment where we hear, because I think the notes that are playing by the humans is, I think, a flute. If I'm correct me if I'm wrong,
It's
Professor.
like a flute, yeah.
It's a flute, which is beautifully done. And what we hear on the spaceship is like more of a tuba. But when it finally starts playing the notes, the 5 notes, then it starts going into then we get this exchange of different, back and forth, tones and everything. And notice right there when they stop playing, the ship starts playing a little. I mean, somebody can say, it might not be that, but it starts playing a little bit of the notes from Jaws, just a little
Yeah.
bit. But I don't mean, hey, it could be not. I don't know for sure. But anyway,
No, you're actually right, because it goes bum, 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 bum.
yeah.
So it's like kind of doing that slow dun 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 dun.
So at this point, this is where the film kind of drags. I mean, not drags, because it ain't dragging. To me, it's beautiful. We see the opening of the bottom of the ship, and we start to see human beings or different people from different eras come out of this. Like the guys from the plane convoy we saw with the planes we saw earlier. Yeah, they come out and they haven't aged in over 30 years. They haven't aged at all, and we see other people coming out. Yeah, like I say, this shot. It's a beautiful shot here. And I should mention too, before I go any further, this movie won the Academy Award for Best Cinematography, which I think is,
which was rightly so.
yes. So we see all these people coming out, and it wasn't so much they were abducted. I think they were just curious. But they say, well, we need to return these people because they're not meant to be with us. They're meant to be where they are. But it makes you kind of think like, okay, these are some people who are out of time, literally. And how can they adjust to the present day, or where they're at? Because you even see like a dog come out, sliding down the slide of the door, coming down. And it's like, okay, so it ain't just human beings. It's like they'll take, or borrow,
That's the thing, though, like, because you did say that like they're out of time, and one thing, this, like I said, this movie has a lot of like highs and lows in terms of how your emotion is watching it. And I sit there and I say to myself, like, Roy, we're going to get to where he's going to be going with them. He's been chosen to go with them. And for him, it's kind of like, cool, he's going to get some answers that he was looking for because of what he went through. But a part of me sits there and says, man, dude, you have a family. What's going to happen? Like, if they bring you back 30 years from now, you're going to go see your sons and, your kids and your ex-wife or whatever. Because, like, in some ways, like, to me, just because of the human element, like, it kind of makes you like, once he gets up there with those aliens, like it might be fascinating, but eventually you're going to start getting homesick. You know, you're going to want to miss your family and stuff like that, because he did love them. He was just going through a lot of shit, you know.
Yeah.
False imprisonment.
Like,
And
I love this particular scene where you see the aliens come out the ship, and then
I don't know. Did you notice this, Kevin?
See,
How the
hi!
aliens in Disclosure Day have a
Little Hitler.
look a little bit like the aliens from Close Encounters.
well, you know what? This particular scene. Clearly, they have young either kids or little people in these outfits walking.
believe it or not, those are little girls, about 10, maybe 11 years old, dancers. Believe it or not, dressed up as these particular aliens.
They do the same trick in Disclosure Day.
Yes.
Without spoiling it for the newest.
And I will add to Anubis's thought about that, about with Neri, you know, with Roy, you know, he's just leaving his family and everything. Spielberg himself has said this when he wrote this film. You know, he was in his 20s. You know, he didn't have a family at the time. You know, he was just doing something where he was telling a story. You know, and you know, the way he was projecting was saying, how bad or how driven would you be if you've been, you know, pretty much embedded with or inception something into your brain so much that it drives you to the point like, I love my family, but I mean, I don't care. I want this more than anything. He has said on record, you know, what I was then as a young man, you know, that was then. As a family man, I would never write this. I would never do I would never write that kind of.
You wrote that as a single person.
Yes.
You really should have wrote this as like a single person story, where an extraordinary event happens, and then he goes out to discover this, whatever it is that's embedded in his brain. And then not only does he discover what it is, he embraces it and he then moves forward with it.
Because you got to remember, see how driven.
I actually do like that he had the family aspect, because, you know, going back, and I know the professor and you guys agree, is like, you get to see this guy break down, you get to see him fall apart, and it's like, those are real life things. Like, even if you don't believe in aliens or whatever, the idea behind mental illness and struggles, it's all there. You see it. So yeah, Steven might not look at it the same way now as he did when he was single, but I do like that he added that aspect in it, because at least by the end of this film, we're still going to sit there and question, like I did. I just said, how would I feel as a family man to go, like, as Jedi says, I want answers. I want to see why my head's like the way it is. I want to see what these creatures are like. This is very interesting. But then there's also, like, you're just gonna have to sit back later and say, well, how's he gonna feel days or, you know, whatever time is in that particular moment later on, about like, damn, I miss my wife, I miss my kids. Like, you can't just like say, hey, beam me back, you know, it's not gonna
Right.
But for all you know, like what happened with Jessica and Barry, you could say, I miss me. Can you go and get me family for me?
Yeah.
You know?
And they could have just went down there, right? Boom, you sucker, I'm beaming you.
Well, you got to remember too, Spielberg was, like I say, he wasn't even 30 when he wrote this screenplay. He was in his late 20s. So, you know, he, like I say, he was a single man. You know, he just come off of Jaws. So, you know, he wrote this script, you know, pretty fast, and but it very articulate. And you know, you knew to say, you know, I'm glad he added that family dynamic, because I feel like that's a real world thing. But like I say, if you are married, and like I say, if you were married, you had kids, and wrote something like this, you got to think to yourself, like, why would I write something like this when I'm, like I say, why would I devoid myself of my family without a father? Why would I do that? You know, but I think he at the time was just saying, I'm just showing how passionate this person really is. Because
was Spielberg married to Teri Garr at the time? That's what Queen is saying.
I don't know. I mean, was she? I mean, you guess as good as mine. I don't think he. No, I think he's only been married twice, and the one he's married to now is what's her name? Kate Capshaw. You know, she was married. He was married to Amy Irving first, and No, he wasn't married at this time. You know, he
Okay.
was seeing anybody.
Oh, Richard Dreyfuss. Okay, so she clarified. Okay.
Oh, okay. So.
But what ends up happening at the end, like you've mentioned, Roy, all the humans that were abducted, you know, are returned to the Earth. Roy chooses to go with the aliens, and you know the ship rises from the ground and then jets up into space. Barry, that scene as well, that always quite emotional, where Barry is reconnected to Jessica. He's the last human to come off the ship, and you're like, you know, it's such a heartfelt moment, and he's like, "Mom," and he's like running to her, it's like beautiful. Because it shows that these weren't like evil aliens; it was more aliens out of curiosity that are interested in
But
humanity.
he still made it freaking scary. That first one that's long, they like spider leg. I was like, as a kid, I'm like, oh, this is terrifying. I gotta go.
And that's another that was another interesting thing about the aliens. You had the little, like you said, they were played by little girl dancers, them little aliens. Then you had the tall one who went like that, and then you had, and then right at the end, you see the one in the background that still hasn't left the ship, and it's just dead. It's got the long legs, and there's different versions of these things.
Yeah.
And you're like, Jesus Christ. So I'm assuming the one with the long legs was like the queen or the leader who hadn't left the ship, because the fact that Barry's the last one released. And just, it was just amazing storytelling, just an amazing film. And the fact that Jaws came out in 1975 and this came out 2 years later in 1977, clearly he made such a big impression, Steven Spielberg, that the studio went, what you want, there's the money.
Yeah.
Take my money.
And
you know what? It's all right doing that. It's all right doing that and hiring money.
Right.
In having one success, but they're giving the money and then them actually create another massive hit. Because at the end of the day, you get one hit, what I call one hit wonder directors who make one or two films that are successful, and anything else they make is never as lucrative. So, like the guy who created Event Horizon, for example, Paul W. Anderson. That's my favourite film that he ever made. Now, anything else he's made ever since, it's all, for me, it's always been a bit of a flop. Like the last one he made, which was the Something Lands, where with Mila Jovovich, it had been out a week in theatres. They put it a week, 2 weeks later, it was on streaming.
Oh wow!
Total disaster.
Oh, I know. Yes, that's
you know. And even though he did well with Event Horizon, I even don't think the Resident Evil films were that great. But you know, with Steven Spielberg, they given the money. But the thing is, Steven Spielberg, like Nolan, he's one of them. No matter how much money you hire, you know it's money well spent.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people talking about Disclosure, saying that he's lost his spark or it's not as good. But you need to think he's 80-something year old, and it might not be on the peak of Close Encounters, E.T., whatever. But Disclosure Day was still a pleasant film.
We have to remind ourselves this is another generation. That was a generation back then, 50 years ago, and it's a total different story now. And you got to remember, you have people like Professor here. You know, he's part of that generation that, you know, those individuals may not click on to what this particular director is saying when you know, but it's like he's still telling a story, a very gripping and interesting story. But it's like you got to be fixed into it to get into it, and that's probably the problem right there. It's like y'all are too hardwired, again, like Roy, too hardwired to follow the bullshit that we see nowadays with social media and everything else. So
yeah, the big problem is that they don't have the attention span that audiences back then had. They don't have the sense of patience to actually sit through the build-up or actually take in what's happening during the build-up. All they just want is immediate spectacle, immediate jump scares, immediate reveals, no payoff, no build-up, no suspense. And that's why it's just going to keep on fading, because the art of patience has just been neglected. for the sake of get the product out, put it in there, give them what they want. But they do it without learning the importance of restraint and patience.
Yeah, I'll say there's two types of audiences. There's those with brains and there's those without brains. So the ones who who with brains, and sorry if that offends anyone, but I'm just being honest. The ones with brains will sit and watch a 3-hour movie, like a Christopher Nolan movie. Might not be the best. It could, but there's something interesting, intriguing, and something that makes you think. Then you get what I call the audience that have no brain, who basically they'll watch a movie, like you see, like I'm trying to think of it, like The Mummy, like the Brendan Fraser mummies.
Yeah.
That good action movies, but there's nothing in them. It's all spectacle. It's all action. But there's no deep story.
Why do you think, 'cause I'm going to tell you something real quick, make this kind of add on to that. The recent Spider-Man movie. Okay, it's got some spectacle in it, but truth be told, I like when they're discussing structuring the story with the character. I like when they're slowed down and we have a moment to breathe, talking with Peter, with Ned, with MJ. I want to see those moments, interaction with them doing the storytelling. That
like the recent Brand New Day for me is the best of the recent Spider-Man films because it feels true to Spider-Man. But when through his years at school, he's now turning a young adult, and it feels like the core Spider-Man that I remember.
And that's what you want. I mean, true enough. You want the glam, you want the expect. I mean, I know Anubis can agree with me on this. We had tons of spectacle back in the day. We had a lot of that stuff. But I'm pretty sure, like anything else, it's like, okay, is that all you're giving us? Can you give us something else besides this? That is like, what's the character's motive for doing what they're doing? What's the reason why this is going on? Like Aliens, like Empire Strikes Back, like the Terminator 2. It's like you have to have some damn reason for why these things are happening. I mean, otherwise you won't get the payoff. Won't be so great. And I feel like I don't have that structure there before the payoff. I feel empty. I feel gutted. I really do.
Yeah, and this is when it comes to Brand New Day. This is part of why I'm apprehensive about Spider-Man in movies. After No Way Home, he was left not. It was a conflicting note. It was both a positive note in the sense that he saved the stability of the multiverse, but it was also a negative note in the sense that his Aunt May is dead. MJ, Ned, and Aunt May's friend Potts, I think his name was. They've all had their memories wiped. Then Brand New Day comes along, and I saw some spoilers for this. I'm not going to say them on here, but for those who've seen the movie, they know. There is a glimmer of hope right before the end credits that things are going to work out for Peter Parker as Spider-Man. And that's the one thing that I hope does happen moving forward, is that, yes, last time we saw these characters, it was a downer. They were very much on their knees with next to nothing left. This time, we have an ending that shows they can actually pull back from this. They can actually grow stronger from this. They can actually get better from this. And that's the sort of thing that I would like to see more of. Not so much a redemption, but more of a rebuild arc, more of a recovery arc of sorts. Because it's like, these guys have been put through the ringer. They've been given enough shit as it is. Come on, give them some happiness.
Yeah.
Come on now.
I mean, I could say even further. I mean, just real quick. I mean, because I know I'm going to wrap this up. my favorite Star Trek film is Voyage Home. The two previous films, we've been through death, life, death again, all those things. This was a film where it's like, okay, let's give a chance to breathe here. Let's give a chance to say some kind of wholesomeness, some kind of saying like, hey, not everything is so bad. Let's do something that can actually say bring these characters back to full strength in terms of Voyagers and everything, and it really shows, like I say, it's another example of great storytelling, and knowing that they've been through hell and back, but knowing that there's a light at the end of the tunnel and they can rebuild from all that, so it's good.
One thing I liked about that particular Spider-Man film is the fact that it felt like a episode from the show. Like the last two movies were interconnected, where obviously Spock died, and then obviously you had Kirk lose his son, so there was a lot of pain, a lot of darkness, and then this one was very light and breezy compared to the previous two. And I generally feel, even though the last two Spider-Man films have had a bit of darkness to them, I generally also feel it's heading towards something. I think Spider-Man eventually will, when he goes to pass because Tom Holland has said he will be passing the torch on to somebody else. He's actually already started to put the groundwork to that, and I think they'll probably end it with a happy note with him.
Which I hope they do.
Yes. But going back to this particular film, final thoughts, gentlemen, and I'll start with my good friend, Mr. DJ Anubis.
This is a film that I revisit every so often. It's not one of Spielberg's that I watch like consistently, because like they're just like, this one's a really great film, but some of his other ones are just a little more entertaining in terms of pacing. But again, watching it again last night, I was appreciating a lot more of the focus on the characters. Like, that's something I had kind of forgotten, just how well Dreyfuss was portraying Roy and the emotions and the things he was going through. Because if you're somebody who follows like UFO stories or people who say they've been abducted, it kind of plays off of those same things. So Spielberg did a lot of research. Dreyfuss probably did a lot of research on how people would act that claimed they'd been abducted or had like some sort of like supernatural or like interaction with a UFO or whatever. So I like that they paid attention to the details like that, and that's something that Spielberg does very well. With that said, though, like, this film is still like a very, very great film. I'd always recommend it to anybody. It's still like a 10 out of 10 for me.
Mr. Daniel Miller.
I have to agree with Anubis. 10 out of 10. Movies like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Jaws, E.T., and even his later movies like War of the Worlds. These are all testaments of how one man, in this case Spielberg, can delve into so many different genres, whether it be the action adventure elements of like Jurassic Park, or the gritty realism and controversy of the color purple. How he can tap into all of these different things and produce these absolute classics and such important pieces of cinema history. And Close Encounters is no exception to this legacy that Spielberg has created over the years. Now, this one I like is that it's not malicious in terms of how it approaches extraterrestrials on Earth, examining humanity and just taking people. It actually approaches them in a way of curiosity, like the aliens themselves. They are just as curious about the grander scheme of our universe, of our cosmos, as we are. As we look up toward the stars, they look through the stars and down toward us. Another thing I also found interesting about the abductees in this movie is that they weren't snatched, they were actually chosen. Because one of the characters said these people knew to come here. They were called to come here. So why are we turning them away? And that's one thing that I applaud Spielberg for in this movie, is for actually creating this unspoken connection through this first contact that these characters have. So yeah, Close Encounters for me, 10 out of 10. Great storytelling, great characters, great performances, and of course a great soundtrack by John Williams.
Mm-hmm. What about you, my good friend Jedi Granville?
Okay, well,
He hated it.
I was about to say I hated this. I hated it so much I had to buy it. Yes, and I give it 1 out of 10 stars. Yes, no, I don't. No, this is look. If anyone believes that malarkey, that's like y'all must be brain dead, because this movie is a treasure trove of great storytelling. This is a great montage of just spectacle, but it's so wrapped up in this enigma that you can't just unfold. You can't forget it. It's there. And for Spielberg, knowing that he did something that, and this is his first time getting nominated for Best Director for a film, believe it or not. It's just weird knowing that this man has been around this long. I mean, I think like over nearly 60 years in Philly American, and he still has the energy to do what he does. I mean, he'll be 80 years old by the end of this year, believe it or not. And it's a testament to his craft, knowing that he was one of those special enigmas that still able to make great filmmaking, and this one is no exception. I mean, it's got so many iconic moments in here, and I'm just amazed that someone like me was a witness to his
Fire in the Sky is amazing.
Yes, fired. Yes, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Insane.
Well, this film has inspired me to do eventually. I am going to be doing in the future a film spelling about in the film special. And the film special is going to be non-stop abduction films.
Ah, okay.
So I mentioned this to the newest. If you in Fire in the Sky will be a part of it. Special.
One quick note before we go on. Does anyone think that the clouds appearing over Barry's house in some ways inspired that scene with Fire in the Sky, with the thunderstorm showing the hand in the clouds?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, because you got to remember, Fire in the Sky is supposed to be based on true events, but again, they just added little.
It's when it's the scene where he's actually been abducted and experimented on them. That for me is the most horrifying.
Go from nice cuddly little aliens with Close Encounters to Fire in the Sky where you're just being tortured.
Dude, they put, like I said, they put these stains on his face and cut this like no.
Yeah, it's quite the difference.
Yes. Yeah, you did give your rating, didn't you, Jedi?
Yeah, I gave it this 10. Oh, it's 10 out of 2. It's 10 out of 10.
Right. Oh, that was a 1 out of 10, I remember.
I mean, yes.
So as for me, there's certain films, whether it's Steven Spielberg or not, that need to be studied for generations to come because of story telling, editing, cinematography, VFX, and there's certain films that are the gateway to, future films and set the precedent of what is to come. And for me, you had Ray Harryhausen before Steven Spielberg, who did amazing work, many others, but Steven Spielberg from the 1970s onward set the standard of VFX, cinematography, storytelling, suspense, great characters, all into one. And obviously the likes of Christopher Nolan, who's followed him, are obviously following what he set in the standards he set for filmmaking.
Yes.
And so for me, this film is an amazing story. We did the Steven Spielberg special stream not long ago. And for me, that particular stream was amazing. And I hadn't seen this film for quite some time, but now seeing it again, I've actually re-fell in love with this film because I think every time I watch this film, I discover something new or I forget a certain part of the movie. And once I see it, it's like being that 8-year-old kid again. Takes us right back. It's the same with the original first Jurassic Park. I was about 10 years old when that came out. And like I said before, that the tension in the atmosphere of seeing the water shake for the first time before the T-Rex makes its presence. You could drop a pin in the theatre and you were just waiting for something to happen. Like Daniel said, watching this in the dark with all the light taken off and just you in a room by yourself rewatching this film, it's a masterpiece of taking you on an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
So because of that, like everybody else, this is getting a fully deserved 10 out of 10. So that is Close Encounters of the Third Kind, one of Steven Spielberg's best. Probably, it's in my top 3 at least now. I can't remember why I flagged it when I did the top 5 on the special, but it's definitely up there now. If it wasn't lower, but I'm going to go around the room now and ask everybody what is coming up on their channels in just a moment. But first and foremost, I'm going to ask my friend, Mr. DJ Anubis, have you picked your pick for the September Retro Classic Movie Show?
I have indeed. And surprisingly, I'm sticking with the sci-fi theme. The best I can say to kind of explain would be Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. That's my pick.
Oh, you bugger.
Yes.
No. Well, he's on a theme because he picked Mad Max 2, now Star Trek 2. So he likes the sequels more than the originals. I'm starting to feel a pattern here, Anubis.
Well, with that particular set of franchise, I've always said I've liked 2, 4, and 6 the best out of all of them. I don't like the other ones all that much. So
Yeah.
He's into the power of 2.
Yes.
There's the professor of
Yes.
the logic. He's
Yes.
very logical.
But coming up for the rest of the month on the entertainment headquarters, now that we know my amazing co-host pick for the next Retro Classic Movie Show, tomorrow night I'm going to be joined by J. Cole when we talk about this. The Human Vapor 2026. We'll be talking about this and we'll also be giving our thoughts on the original movie. They know like a bit of a comparison. After that, we will be doing the next Kaiju Connection, which is Dagora 1964. And this month's movie special is none other than the Dollars Trilogy, starring Clint Eastwood, dedicated to Clint Eastwood and his legacy, since I believe this man is now officially retired.
Yeah.
So,
Well, he's
He's in his
almost
mid-90s now.
yeah, so let's well earned retirement. He's a legend, just like Steven Spielberg. And then the following month, we're going all the way back to the land of the rising sun because we're going to be doing the second Samurai month with the second Akira Kurosawa special and a handful of other samurai movie specials.
Nice.
That's what's coming up. Yes, that's what's coming up on Entertainment Headquarters. But what is coming up on the Metal Tavern Radio?
Well, as far as like this month coming up, I've got Ghouls at Midnight later on this month. We're going to be doing Kingdom of the Spiders with William Shatner, no less. Also have a movie for the vintage cult cinema called Looker. This is going to be Jedi's pick for this month. I'm very excited and interested to see this. I've never seen this film, but it looks kind of interesting for sure. Mr. Jake Hall and I for Kaiju Unlimited, we are going to be talking about Desagora and what was this other one? Garu from the Mata Rebirth series. So a couple of kaiju, so a double impact there with those two. Depending on Rick Myers, of course, with Lomo's dub, if he's feeling up to it, because I know he's been kind of dealing with some health issues, but if he comes back, we're going to review Ninja Turf from 1983, I think, is the year on that. And then if I work with Kevin here to get the cinematic synergy, I'm picking Firefox with our boy Clint Eastwood in that.
Well,
And
if you're free this Tuesday, I can do it Tuesday if you're up for it.
I am. So I'll talk to you about it, and then we can set that up.
Mhm.
And then just later on in the month, for Silver Screen Savants with Olvin on his channel, I'll be hitting up. We're going to be doing Flash Gordon. So,
Yes.
Yes. So, my good friend, the Professor Dan Miller, what is coming to your channel, Dan Filament?
I have some big news. In just 2 days, I managed to shoot and wrap production on a stop motion animation featuring none other than the king of the monsters himself, Godzilla.
Nice.
As we speak, the film is now in post-production. It is halfway through the post-production process, and I'll be doing some more teasers as well as little previews as such. Well, not so much previews, it's really just little teasers. Plus, I hope to deliver the finished cut very, very soon.
nice.
Cool.
Jedi Granville.
Well, most people know this already, so I'll just make it quick. I have nothing particular on my channel. I will be, as Nick was mentioned, on his channel this coming Saturday, next Saturday, talking about 1981 Looker, which is a Michael Crichton film, which is definitely a cautionary tale of what we see today. But other than that, I have nothing particular on my channel coming up, but there will be something coming like the month of September, early September, the day before Labor Day, which we be called because it's going to be a continuation of something I did before, which is a Jedi Granville production special presentation, and I'm not going to tell you what it is, but you have to watch and see. So, but other than that, that's all I'm going to mention.
Nice. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for interacting and for watching their Retro Classic Movie Show on the Entertainment Headquarters. Please like, share, and subscribe to all of my amazing guests' channels, Mr. DJ Anubis of the Metal Tavern Radio, the Dan Filament, of course, the Professor, Dan Miller, and of course, I can't even see initials. JGV, Jedi Granville Productions. Please like, share, and subscribe to all of my guests. But if you haven't, you can if you wish. Please subscribe to the Entertainment Headquarters. And this has been the Retro Classic Movie Show. This has been us celebrating all things Close Encounters of the Third Kind. But until next time, like I always say, keep on enjoying your movies, keep on enjoying all things entertainment, and keep everything a little bit retro.